right, welcome into the latest edition of the second half draft show. I am your host, Juice, joined by Drew. No Headley tonight. Headley's on hiatus, sabbatical, whatever you want to call it, vacation, PTO, whatever you want to call it. Headley's not joining us tonight. We expect him back next week, same time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, Friday here on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook, however you decide to consume the second half draft show, brought to you by Couch Potato General Manager. As you can see, the emphasis, the focus on this evening's show is on a handful of prospects from each of the following teams. That's the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, LSU Tigers, and Iowa Hawkeyes. So, Drew, I want to start with Notre Dame. I consider starting with LSU, but I want to save that. I want to hold that for a moment. Let's start with Notre Dame and really the names of interest, the names of intrigue here as far as the 2024 draft class is concerned. Starts up front. It really starts up front. Of course, there's Sam Hartman, transferring from Wake Forest. Now he's going to be the starting quarterback in Notre Dame. That's actually an improvement in terms of their quarterback position. But the guys protecting him, and Joe Alt and Blake Fisher at both tackle positions, is really the focus here. Alt is considered a top 10 prospect. And based on what you have seen thus far, what you've studied of Joe Alt, what do you think? What do you think about that prognostication as far as his draft status?
Yeah, I like all of that, man. I know, I've seen some people maybe calling him tackle one. I think maybe they forgot about your boy. Let me adjust this real quick. I don't want to give me. There we go. Am I bright? Am I bright now? It's looking a little dark there, man. Got to brighten up.
That's better. That's
okay.
better.
All right.
Yeah, good lighting now. Good lighting.
Yes. I see that. I'm looking a little dark. I'm dark enough. But I know Olu's supposed to be the guy, right? Supposed to be the number one tackle, and I would agree that well, I guess we could. Well, I don't want to spoil it. Let me pivot. He's not tackle one. I'll just leave that there. Joel is not tackle one, but the things that I love about Joel is I love his hands. I think he's able to deal with any type of hands that you're throwing at him, whether it be quick, whether it be heavy, whether it be violent, whether it be quick, heavy, or violent. I think that he keeps the defender's hands away from his body. I love his size, 6'8". Some might look at that and say, hey, man, he's that could lead to leverage issues. You could ask Blake Freeland of last year from BYU. That was an issue for him. You got to get down. Low man wins. So you got to make sure that stays true to form. Otherwise, you're going to have some problems. I thought his feet matched his hands. I know you're going to have some pushback on that here later. But watching that Notre Dame tape, okay, and I think this might be because I'm a Bucs fan and I've seen it and I don't like it. It was not successful for us. is doubles. I don't like it, especially I think in college, simply because it doesn't tell the whole story of what that player can do. Because I think you're taken away from him in terms of him being one-on-one. Because there was a lot of times where when he was one-on-one, it was usually like a backside block. You know what I mean? Or it was a block that really didn't. It wasn't necessary in the play.
All he's doing is sealing.
Yeah, just kind of being there, trying to just kind of being in the way. So you never get the full potential of what he, could be. So I think that was an issue I had both with studying Blake Fisher and Joe Alt. I will say that I talked about him in terms of him being 6'8". There are times when he does get beat. It is because he is high. He's just got to stay low and be able to win that leverage. Because if he can't win the leverage, I don't necessarily think it's a huge issue for him, because I think he is a guy who does recover very well when he's beat because of his long arms and because of his ability, because of his feet. So I think that's what a lot of scouts are going to like about him outside of his size, obviously.
Right. DK, he needed a break. You know what I'm saying? When you get a little bit older, you
got
to recharge your batteries.
Shots fired, bro.
You know what I'm saying? DK actually prefers Alt. No, he doesn't prefer Alt. He likes Alt, but we agree. We agree with you, DK. I think Fashanu has a higher ceiling, and I just think Fashanu plays with more physicality, to be perfectly frank.
I agree.
I mentioned to you guys in our chat that there seemed to be something missing with Joe Alt, and I will say that his 2022 tape got better throughout the year. Early on in the season, especially that first game, they ate him up. It looked a little uncomfortable, like his legs weren't really underneath him. Whenever I see a big man like that who's struggling to kind of keep his feet, keep his balance, and looks out of sorts, I call him a Bambi. But That isn't to say that his physicality is non-existent. I just don't see the requisite physicality that I want out of my tackles,
6'8",
especially at the
315.
next level. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
No.
When you talk about traits and the skill set, and certainly when he gets his hands extended, you got to like it. It's not overwhelming. It's just really effective. It's just really, really effective when he has everything going. I thought there were instances where, he may have struggled a little bit to get to his landmark. And what I saw a lot from him is you don't see a vertical set from him. So, when guys take that big kick to get to
Oh,
the mark, he doesn't do that.
Not him was short.
It's a jump set. It's a 45-degree set. He understands that, but I can appreciate that, right?
Yeah.
Understands what works for him considering his size. And you mentioned he has natural leverage challenges, but I also think he does a pretty good job of playing with the requisite pad level. You just never see him driving guys off the line of scrimmage. You don't really see him finishing blocks. There are times where his upper body gets too far over in front of his toes. You know what I'm saying? And that can create some issues. But when everything is lined and he is balanced, he's very difficult to get around, even showing some ability to recover as well. So in my evaluation of all, the one thing that I came away with was like, I'd like to see a little bit more of a mean streak in him. I'd like to see a little bit more nastiness and physicality. But I certainly think the skill set is there to play left tackle, to be able to be effective in playing left tackle. Now, again, the jump set 45-degree is usually reserved for interior offensive linemen.
Yes.
It usually is. It usually is. But I think because he shows a certain level of mastery with it, he has, excellent bloodlines pedigree as far as his father being a Pro Bowl tackle at the NFL level. When he played, he started a ton. He actually replaced Fisher, who we're going to get to, at left tackle when Fisher got hurt a couple seasons ago, right? So Joe Alt, got tabbed after Fisher went down, coming out of the spring training, whatever the case may be. Was going into their first year starting. Fisher gets hurt, Alt steps in, and he never relinquishes the left tackle position. So there's a lot to like, but I think the main thing for me is, you got to remain balanced, and I need to see more physicality. He did a great job. I saw him against Myles Murphy, did a really good job in that game. There were some other guys who may not necessarily be on Myles Murphy's stature that got him. You know what I'm saying? So that consistency, and I really do think, it's hard. It's hard to flip a switch in terms of your temperament, in terms of how you approach things. Again, I think he's very smart. I think he's technically sound in terms of what he's comfortable with, in terms of what he does. I would just like to see him fire off a little bit more. And I don't know that it's even his fault. I think Notre Dame, in terms of
that's what they're asking,
offense, in terms of what they're doing, there's a lot of this shielding, and it's not even like zone. It's not even like a zone scheme where guys are kind of getting to the second level or anything like that, because I don't think he flashes that kind of athleticism. No. I think the athleticism that he flashes is in his ability to recover when beaten in terms of his pass, bro. So a lot to like. I just want to see him. I want to see another gear out of him as a tackle. And you often don't hear that term associated with offensive linemen, but I think he could benefit from that, because, of course, in terms of the just the raw measurables and the metrics and the tools that he has, the traits, he checks all those boxes.
Yep.
All right. D-Kit mentioned that he loves Blake Fisher. Let's talk about him, Drew. What do you think about?
No, that was his
running mate.
He said that was his business partner.
Okay.
He loves Fisher. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Fisher. What I will say about Fisher, though, is what Alt doesn't have, Fisher does have, in terms of being aggressive, in terms of attacking, in terms of athleticism, getting out there, moving. I think he has those things, but I think one of Fisher's biggest problems, and I think it's an easy fix, is his hands. Like, he just can't get them hands right, whether it's too far inside, whether it's too far outside, whether he's doing the bear hug. He can't stay on blocks.
Alt doesn't have that problem. Alt does not have that problem.
If we could just give them a little bit of each other's
skills,
pros, you know what I mean? You got a great right tackle and a great left tackle. So I think, I think that's something he's going to have to work on. I think I'm not going to say it's easy, but that's something that's fixable, if you will. Sure. That I think that he can, and he would be. He'd be a damn good right tackle, you know what I mean? Because I like my offensive lineman aggressive, and he has that nasty streak. Yeah, you hit it right on the nose. Fisher is nasty. He's all about that life. He will meet you in the alley, and it's probably gonna be night, man.
I think you said it perfectly. I think you said it perfectly. If you get a little bit of each other's game, I think you have an excellent, I mean, a terrific tackle. And again, like I said, there are some people that will argue that Fisher has a higher ceiling, and I do believe entering college, entering Notre Dame, South Bend, I think folks were higher on Fisher. The injury really gave Alt an opportunity, and he's ran with it. He's done a good job. He's certainly helped himself. Fisher doesn't have that top billing, but I was doing a little, background search in terms of, how they've been performing throughout the spring, and I happened to take a peek at the spring game, and I saw a little bit more nastiness from Alt. I want to see it translate into the season, but I saw a little bit more finishing, which I think for me would cement the top 10 billing. I think if he continues to be consistent in terms of landing his punch, and it's not a really physical punch, it's just precision, it's consistency, and it's locking in, right? But again, with that additional nasty streak, I really do think he can take his game to another level. And then with respect to Fisher, he needs to clean up his technique. Fisher is actually down about 10 to 12 pounds, lean muscle, right? He's in better shape. I think that's going to help with his lateral quickness. While he will get off the ball, he also has trouble staying engaged at the second level. That's a problem for him because, again, those hands are out of whack. So he has to really hone in on that. But definitely in better shape. He mentioned that, he was carrying some of that baby fat still and really has cleaned that up. He's lean. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see these bookend tackles, see ultimately how things play out in 2022 or rather 2023, and ultimately see where their draft stock lands. I actually think Sam Hartman, considering the way his season ended in Wake Forest with all the turnovers and the pick sixes, I mean, it started great, started phenomenal, right? Obviously, he's had some medical issues and coming back, and he was playing at a really high level, and then it just kind of fell apart towards the end of last year. He has a chance. He has a real chance to really bolster his stock. Don't know that he's ever going to be a starter, a consistent starter in the NFL, but being able to land on a team and hang around for a long time, I think it's certainly within the realm of possibility. What do you think about Sam Hartman's skills translating to the NFL level?
It's going to be interesting because he's coming from that slow mesh to something that's not a slow mesh.
Right.
And so, and so I think because that slow mesh, I think it limits you. It limits your ability, whether you're this athletic superstar quarterback or you're this traditional drop back quarterback. It limits you. And I think it's obviously they do those things because they're trying to create advantages for an offense that may lack specific things, right? Going against a defense that's superior, right? So, but
right.
you're going to be on a team that has more talent all around. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what Sam Hartman's going to look like. I think he's a more traditional style quarterback. I think his ball's a little floaty for me. I need him to
not great arm strength. Not great arm strength.
He doesn't have, so you can't really expect that. But it'll be interesting to see how it works. I think he's on a better team, and I expect his stock to rise playing with Notre Dame. But I don't think we're going to be talking about him, the top within those top 5-6 quarterbacks. I don't think he'll be in there. But I think, like you said, we're talking about him, being a backup in the league and being a quality backup. I think that's something that he has. So.
And it's important. It's important. NFL teams start, you got 32 starters, but guys go down all the time. And you need a guy to come in and step in for a week or two to keep you on schedule and hold it together. Exactly. So I think he has that ability. I think generally speaking, he throws with anticipation, throws with good touch. I don't know that he has, far and away better weapons at Notre Dame, but certainly a better offensive line. We talked about the 2 tackles. So I'd like to see him in a different offense. To your point, the slow mesh, it doesn't give you the full spectrum, full barometer, full evaluation that you'd like to see, right? That is a very unique offense that we just simply haven't seen anywhere else other than a handful of collegiate teams. So, and I don't expect the slow mesh to become a thing at the NFL level, although I didn't expect spread. I didn't expect the spread to proliferate the way it has either, but certainly very, very unique offense. And I to your point, DK, that's why I made mention of that.
Yeah, right? You're right. I take that back. My bad. They got some more weapons over there too. So this year.
I don't know from a skill position perspective that you can comfortably say that Notre Dame is better than Wake Forest was a season ago. I think the most important position group, the offensive line, certainly is better though.
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what Hartman does in a new offense. What I would imagine will translate more to the NFL in terms of some prototypical principles. It's still plenty of spread to go around, but certainly a little bit more two back sets, a little bit more under center. We'll see. We'll see how he fares. All right. I think we could transition. You know, there are a couple other players at Notre Dame that folks may want to keep an eye on in terms of linebacker Jake Kaiser and receiver Lorenzo Styles, but we haven't necessarily gotten to them in terms of our summer scouting. So let's move on.
Hold on, real quick. Let me just throw a guy in there real quick.
Sure.
Cornerback Cam Hart, 6'2", 198. Has great size. Obviously, he's physical. Has the click and close and the twitch you want from the position. He covers a lot of ground, especially horizontally. But I need him to focus, and I need him to use the techniques that they're teaching over there at Notre Dame, because this dude gets caught flat-footed a little too much. And it's not one of those I'm looking in the backfield. I'm looking at the receiver, and I'm watching him run right past me. Ohio State got him a couple times, and he's a guy who get a little grabby. He starts to panic and commit some penalties. So I think if he can clean those things up, this might be a guy that may be able to rise up the board because he has the requisite traits that you want from the position. He just got to tighten up, upstairs. So I think he has everything you want from the position. Just gotta, upstairs got to be right, man.
As D Kit mentioned, he's a PI waiting to happen. Yeah, you gotta clean it up. You gotta clean it up. You gotta trust your technique, trust your ability. And you're gonna get beat from time to time. It's just the nature. It's the nature of the game now. There isn't a whole lot you can do defensively other than run with the receivers. So you want to avoid the penalties. Certainly want to avoid the penalties. Get your head around. Before we get into prospects that we want to discuss for LSU, I actually have a little bit of a trivia here. So obviously we've started the name the player trivia over our last couple of streams. Yes, he did. He did. Or unless D Kit was just in the shadows. Unless he was in the shadows. He missed it. This is going to be a little bit different because usually our trivia name that player pits you, Drew, against Headley. In this instance, this is just going to do a little memory. It's going to check on your memory, short-term memory. This wasn't too long ago.
Okay. I was gonna say it might not be good. It might be ugly.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't too long ago. So, with that being said, there have been 7 players from LSU drafted in the first round since 2020. 7 players.
2020.
Since 2020. Okay. All right. So we're talking about the 2020, 21, 22. NFL drafts, right? The last 3 NFL drafts, right? Or not including 23. I shouldn't say the last 3. 3 of the last 4. All right. So 60 seconds, Drew.
Got to name all 7.
Name all 7. All right.
Oh,
and
man,
for those of you playing along since 2020.
All right.
For those of you playing along, I want you to mention in the comments, but not yet. So, Drew, turn your comments. Go to the banner. Go to the brand.
Let me go to the private. I go to the private chat.
Go to the private chat. Go to the private chat. All right. Again, those of you playing along, once I start the clock, go ahead and name them. Let's see how many Drew can get.
Bro, I'm terrible, bro. We ready? We going?
Yeah, let's do it. Countdown.
Joe Burrow.
Okay. That's 1.
Justin Jefferson.
2.
I'm missing the other receiver, bro. Oh my gosh. Pressure's on, bro. Your boy Clyde's Edward Elaire.
Yep. 3.
CH.
4 more.
Why am I missing the receiver?
That's bad. That's bad.
Oh my gosh, bro. Cincinnati, Minnesota. I got Minnesota. Oh my god.
You are absolutely right, D Kit. Come on, Drew. 20 seconds. Come on. Dig deep.
I'm digging deep. Was I think he was drafted. Devin White, was he there, or was that before that?
Oh, that's earlier. It was
earlier.
I think that's 2018, actually.
Damn. Oh man.
Oh, Drew.
Yeah, I'm terrible, bro. Terrible memory, man. Drew. It's not good, man.
Drew.
I can't think of the other receiver, bro.
So D-Kit mentioned those were his 4, right? Including Jamar. So D-Kit mentioned Jamar Chase. How could you forget Jamar Chase? The others that you missed were guys. Stingley.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Stingley. My bad, Stingley. My bad, bro.
Patrick Queen.
Oh.
And this is the one I expected you to forget. I expected you to forget Caleb Chason. I expected you to forget that one.
I definitely wouldn't have got that one.
Yeah, you struggled, but you whiffed on the defense, man.
Yeah, I was thinking defense, and I was like, the first person that came to mind was Devin White, and I started thinking corners, but I was like, nah, corners was. I just whiffed on the corners. I was like, them boys, Morris Claiborne.
They're older,
yeah,
right?
Like,
you went to Morris Claiborne.
Yeah, went down there. Got Greedy out there.
Got Pat Pete and Greedy out there.
Yeah, bro. I was like, nah, we good. It ain't them boys. Yeah, I laid down linebackers. I should have gotten. I should have got Queen. That was terrible.
Oh man. All right.
Yeah.
So let's talk LSU, and let's start with the quarterback. Let's start with Jaden Daniels. I think we did a poll earlier in the offseason in terms of like dark horse. I don't know if it was dark horse Heisman, but I guess dark horse for QB3. So it's widely considered that Caleb Williams and Drake Mayer are quarterback 1 and 2, respectively. There are a few people who lean towards Michael Penix, maybe as QB2, certainly in the QB3 conversation, along with Bo Nix, JJ McCarthy. Jaden Daniels is also a guy that was kind of in that mix for QB3. What do you like about him? What do you think about his NFL prospects?
He falls into that tier of quarterback when I talk about Drake May, when you talk about Michael Penix Jr., when you talk about Caleb Williams in terms of and Jordan Travis in terms of being just slippery, just being hard to get down. Yeah. The difference between him and them is that he has speed. He gets his top speed very quickly. He has acceleration, 6'3", 200. So he's not easy to take down. This year, when I saw him out there versus FSU, I was like, it was almost deer in the headlights. It was almost like when Jordan Travis played for FSU in his first start. I don't think it was that bad, but it was. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad, but it was getting there, right?
No, it was rough. It was rough when Jordan Travis started.
It was
Jordan
bad.
Travis has come a long way.
Yeah,
it was bad.
Gotta give him his kudos, but yeah, Daniels, man, it started slow for him, but as the season wore on, because I was hard on him, I was like, LSU ain't going anywhere. This guy's gonna hold them back. I thought they were taking a step back in terms of the passing game, even though they had the receivers, because he just wouldn't let the football go because I don't think he was comfortable with what he was seeing. Yeah. But again, as the season went on, he started to rev up and started to see the field for what it was. I think he still does a little bit of the predetermined. I'm gonna throw it over here. I'm gonna look left and only look left, or I'm only gonna look right and start right, stay right. But I think he needs to go through his progressions a little bit more. But I like his arm. He has a plus arm. Obviously, he's got the athletic ability that you like from the position. And the biggest thing I think I like about when I watch quarterbacks, especially when they start rough, is that they continue to improve. You just see improvement on top of improvement on top of improvement in terms of the totality of the position. And that's what he's doing. And he only threw for 1,000 yards, and I think it was like 17 touchdowns. I think that's going to I think there should be a super uptick with that. And I think he is a dark horse in terms of quarterback 3 at the very least. So
1,000 yards? That's not right.
Is it that? Did I maybe hold on? Let me.
Did he rush for 1,000?
Oh, maybe I missed. Maybe I missed something.
That can't be right.
I looked at it. I was like, that can't. That's
because Neighbors eclipsed 1,000 yards.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe I'm off. Maybe I'm off. All right.
Oh yeah, Neighbors is the guy. Neighbors is the guy.
That's the guy.
We about to get into Neighbors here, Malik, in a minute, because
let me check these stats.
I don't.
Oh, my bad. I mislooked at it. I was looking at something else. Okay, he threw for almost 3,000. So my bad. Take it back. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, he certainly started off slow. Certainly a kind of a disappointing campaign from a guy that we thought may be one of the first receivers to hear their name called in the 2022. 2023, I gotta get my years right, man. 2023 NFL draft and Keyshawn Boutte. He certainly struggled, had some off the field issues, consistency, keeping his head in the game, making plays when they were there. He had ups and downs as well. So they were certainly disjointed there. First year, new coach. It took some time. It took some time for Daniels to get comfortable. But I thought when Daniels got comfortable within the scheme, he was effective. He executed at a fairly high level. Just a couple of the notes that I have here for him. I find him to be a really competitive athlete, right? He really doesn't give up on plays. He executes the offense, as I mentioned, well working through his progressions, shows good command and precision when in rhythm, and he has an innate playmaking ability, to your point. He really is well above average in terms of his mobility and scrambling. I actually think he has a good secondary drop too. That's not something many people discuss often, but it is in the nature of the game, right? Which you have bodies around your feet and offensive linemen being pushed into your lap. You got to have a good secondary drop. You got to be able to slide and have that functional mobility. Although his mobility certainly exceeds functional, right? The problem that I have with him is that he's late sometimes. He's late in terms of delivering the football. You see some inaccurate throws that are behind some of the receivers. Again, once he's in rhythm, he's very accurate. He's precise. But when things get a little haywire, although he can manage to buy time and navigate the pocket, his accuracy starts to wane. You know what I mean? And I think what turned out to be incompletions are going to turn into interceptions, right? Because he doesn't have a howitzer. He doesn't have a huge arm. It's a good enough arm, but not a special arm by any stretch of the imagination. And there were too many opportunities that I thought he just kind of left on the field, right? Because he didn't have the confidence in his arm. Some of those hole shots. So when those defensive backs are in that cover two, you have the corner underneath and the safety over top, and the receiver, finds that space in between them. You got to get that ball up and down into that hole, right? And I just didn't see him pull the trigger soon enough or often enough with respect to that. And of course, RPO to D-Kid's point here is what they did a lot of. They actually ran a triple option from the shotgun, right? That's what they did. So you fake the dive, and then of course Daniels has the ability to run, but you also have another back or receiver running a bubble, so you can throw that as a triple option. That's effectively the pitch. So that was part of their running game. The short pass was the extended running game in their offense. I thought he executed all of that very well, but I'll also cut him a little slack because I don't love Brian Kelly's offense. I don't love it. I think the route combinations are a little too elementary. And I get it. I expect to see a more robust offense going into year two in his system, right? You only have, one off season to kind of get in, get your offense installed. Of course, you have limited practice time. I hope throughout last season, of course, you add more throughout the season. And then, of course, you have another off season. So Jane Daniels being a veteran quarterback, I expect him to have more on his plate so that we can see more of what he's capable of doing in terms of operating the offense. But in terms of what he was asked to do, I thought he did a good job. And certainly got better throughout the season. I really love his competitive spirit. He's a gamer. He's a gamer. You know what I mean? And when I say he doesn't have a great arm, I mean that. He certainly doesn't have a howitzer, but when you're timely, it's plenty of arm strength. When you're playing with anticipation, it's plenty of arm strength. I want to see more of that. I want to see more of that on a consistent basis. Let's talk about his top receiver returning, Malik Neighbors. Of course, I mentioned Keishon Butte was expected to be the guy, but it was Neighbors who really, became the receiver one in that offense. And Drew, I got to tell you, man, I mentioned it to you and Headley earlier. I know there's a lot of love for Emeka Egbuka from US or Ohio State. Obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. is widely considered receiver one. Egbuka is getting a lot of love as receiver two. I think you currently have him as receiver two, but I'm not convinced. Malik Neighbors isn't receiver two. What do you like about Neighbors?
That man physical, bro, and he's physical at the top of the route. So if you were a physical corner out there, you better be ready to be in a dogfight because he's willing to put hands on you. And I was watching him go up against Kool-Aid, McKinstry, and this man, he runs so hard, and to me, when I watch him, everything looks the same. So he's running up the field, and he will run almost past where he's going to stop.
I'm gonna disagree with you.
And you think
I'm gonna disagree with you.
Okay.
Go ahead. But I'm gonna disagree with you. Yeah.
Okay. He runs almost past where he's supposed to kind of break the route off and then come back, but it works for him. And he was able to fool McKinstry plenty of times in terms of being able to get that separation. I think he's a guy you have to get the ball in his hands. I think he has the ability to be a playmaker. I like Neighbors a lot. And I was like, man, I'm going to do a little bit more research. But right now, your boy from Ohio State right now, the two guys from Ohio State is 1 and 2 for me right now. But Neighbors could easily slide in to that number 2 position, man. So What do you disagree or what do you like about Neighbors? I'm interested to hear this.
So specifically in terms of my disagreement, right?
Mhm.
It's actually my only knock on Neighbors.
Okay.
I think to your point, based on the film, in terms of the one-on-one matchups with Kool-Aid McKinstry, obviously really talented cornerback, effectively cornerback one through our summer scouting to this point from Alabama. I thought he was just locked in. I thought he was locked in, and I agree. All of his routes look the same, but he didn't do that game to game, right? And I thought there were instances where he didn't create enough separation because he didn't come off the line of scrimmage with that same urgency every snap. Right? There were too many instances where defensive back sat on the curl, sat on the hitch. Now, to his credit, he still made the play. He does a great job of keeping his body between, him and the defensive back and the ball, right? He does a great job of boxing guys out. Every loose rebound, I basically said he's the worm. He's Rodman.
Yeah,
every loose rebound is
that's a
he
good
attacks
comp.
the football. He has the fly paper hands. I put it this way. If any of you have an appreciation for baseball, to me, he frames pitch outs to make him look like a strike. So when a batter steps into the box, right, and pitcher's like, nah, this guy's too hot. We're not going to pitch to him because he's gonna drive in the two runners on base, right? He's just in a zone, right? So we're gonna pitch out. We're gonna throw 4 straight balls, walk him, get to another batter, take our chances with him, right? Get them to ground into that double play, for example, right? When Daniels is inaccurate, Neighbors still goes and gets it.
He
still goes and gets it. And I love the confidence to attack the football at the highest point. You see a lot of guys wait for the ball to come down to it. It gives the defensive back an opportunity to make a play. And Neighbors doesn't do that, man. He snatches the football out of the air. And then right after that, you can see the competitive spirit at the catch point and then as a ball carrier after the catch. The yak is where he made his living. He didn't really have the big touchdown totals last year. Only had 3 over 1,000 yards, only 3 TDs. But I think he's going to triple that amount. I think he's going to triple that amount in 2023. I think he's going to force his way into that conversation in terms of who's going to be the first receiver picked after Marvin Harrison Jr. All right? That's how I feel about Neighbors. I think it's the little things, though, right? The little attention to detail. Don't round off your routes. Understand that if you're running a 9 route, the quarterback, he's going to throw it towards the sideline. So you got to, you know what I mean? You got to give him a little room.
For error. I get that. He don't give you no room for error. Yeah.
He doesn't give you enough room for error in terms of that, unless, of course, it's at the catch point, right? But little things, little things he needs to work on to refine his game a little bit more. But like I said, I'm not convinced he's not receiver 2 when it's all said and done. Ibuka is incredibly talented. He's also played with a host of talented receivers. He doesn't get doubled. Neighbors, they roll coverage. Neighbors.
Yeah, they
they bracketed Neighbors.
He was the guy.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He opened up the field for Kayshon Boutte as the season progressed. Boutte again came alive a little bit later in the season. It was because of Malik Neighbors. It was because defenses had to respect what he did out there on the field. Makes plays at every level of the defense. I'm excited. I'm excited about seeing Malik Neighbors, and I didn't really know about him. Got a little sense of him in that opener against FSU. Okay, I see you got some skill out there, Boutte. I'm not sure what's going on there, but as the season progressed, it clearly became his show. He's the man. He's receiver 1 at LSU, and again, I expect him to make his push to be the second receiver off the board in 2024.
So I need you to make sure that you coin all of that you just put.
Yeah. I got it documented.
Okay.
I got it documented.
Make sure you do that. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure when we do that film breakdown on him, I reference it. But yeah, man, he gets to everything. He absolutely gets to everything. Yeah, DK, he's got the goods. He's got the goods, DK. I'm telling you. Of course, highlight films are going to give you the best of the best, and you may not get an appreciation for the little things that he needs to work on. But I think those things are absolutely coachable, and you cannot coach his competitiveness and the raw ability that he has. And I don't think he's so non-technically sound that it's a lost cause. I think he's a quality route runner that can get better. Right. I think he can do a better job of giving his quarterback a little bit more room for error. Although, again, he tends to erase errors once the ball is in the air. So, yeah, man. And of course, the speed, the top end speed, and the ability after the catch, you can't teach that. You can't teach that. All right. Mason Smith. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Mason Smith. Obviously, he got hurt in that game against FSU, the opener in 2022. But Drew, you went back and you like what you saw.
Yeah. Yeah, man. You can't miss this dude on tape, man. I know he's wearing the number 0, and usually big guys don't wear the number 0. There's a couple I can name in the country. And those guys are actually good players, and he's one of them, man. So he's coming off an ACL tear from last year. He played about maybe about no more than 10 snaps last year in an FSU game, if I'm not mistaken. It might be around 5 or something like that. But he's 6'5", 300, man. And they used him kind of all over the place, whether it was inside a D tackle, whether it was outside an edge or 4-eye. When you talk about having BJ Ojulari coming off the edge and being the first off the line, he was the second off the line. With the burst and the explosion, and when he's at his best.
Where was Perkins at? Third off the line?
Well, Perkins was about 2-3 steps back, and then he exploded forward. So
okay.
he
just passed everybody.
He passed everybody, right. Cleaned it up. You know what I mean? Causing havoc. But when Smith is at his best,
true story, D-Kid. True story.
Was my guy. He got Roy drafted. Yeah, he did get Roy drafted. That's funny.
True story.
So when he's at his best, he comes off the line with the burst that you want from the position, the heavy, violent hands, and then he's going to hit you with that secondary move. And it's so smooth, it's so clean, and it's flawless. And then he's into the backfield. The issue that I had with him is that wasn't consistent enough. And the other issue, and this issue may not have nothing to do with him, is this just may be their rotation. He just didn't, they didn't play him a lot, man. And I don't know, obviously they got other guys that are in front of him. Those guys are older, whatever. But I want to see this guy play a ton, because it's almost like your boy from Miami, where they take him off the field. Just leave him on the field. Let him play, man. You know what I mean? And again, that could be a conditioning thing.
But you know how that goes.
I get it, man.
You're trying to you recruit a lot of those guys because you want to keep those guys fresh, because you want maximum effort.
I'm selfish, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Bro. But I get it. Right. When you got a guy that talented, you want to see him every snap. I certainly understand it. Yeah.
And he has to be able to disengage more often, because that's one thing where he doesn't extend those arms, and so he's not disengaging timely, right? So I think. And part of that maybe is just what they're asking him to do. Hey, we just need you to hold up in this hole just in case, type of thing. So, and I think he's the type of guy who could probably play in any scheme, 3-4, 4-3, just because of his size and his ability. But for me, I'd probably like to see him in a 4-3 D tackle. That's just me, though.
You know what, D-Kid? I'm with you. I'm not a big Chip Brian Kelly fan. I'm not a Chip Kelly fan.
I was going to say,
I don't like either of the Kellys, really, but he's won everywhere he's gone. He's won. You know what I'm saying? So clearly, I think the recruits respect that. Although he rubs people the wrong way, there's no question about it. He can grate people. You know what I'm saying, with his personality, with his coaching style. So I think that's part of the reason why they haven't necessarily, or he hasn't necessarily gotten over the top, because you don't always get the buy-in like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's a difference between coaching hard and being a jerk. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There's a difference. Yeah. There's a difference there. So it could be a thin line at times. And I think Kelly may have gotten better over time in that department, but I think it still rears its ugly head from time to time. I actually think he did a good job this past season. I think he did one of his best jobs. I'd agree. Right? They got off on the wrong foot. It was a little tumultuous. You had issues in the locker room, and whether it be Kelly understanding that and being able to galvanize the team, or the team and its leaders figuring it out, they got the job done for the most part. They really did. So
I know there was some bad apples in that bunch though too that we needed to get out, and I think as far as I know, I think they're all out of there. But he had to work through that as well when you talk about the previous coaching staff that was there. So.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I know it has reared its ugly head on more than one occasion with Brian Kelly. So it doesn't necessarily surprise me. We've seen really talented guys maybe not necessarily reach the lofty expectations that we have for him because of the coaching, and that's not unique to Brian Kelly either. But I certainly understand your point, D-Kid. Drew, any other LSU Tigers you think we should discuss this time, or just simply mention?
We got Darian Chestnut. They call him Deuce Chestnut, 5'11",
All right.
200. LSU was
Good
transferred from
size.
Syracuse. Syracuse cornerback. Uh, Dude is feisty. Is willing to come downhill. Excuse me, come downhill and lay pads. And I saw a tweet. I think it was DP Damian Parsons for the
Friend of the
Locked
show.
On friend of the show,
Friend of the show.
NFL Locked On draft podcast, and also Locked On Clemson. If you wanted to
Yep.
know, but go check them out. Hit the like button and hit them with a review, positive, please, thumbs up. He was talking. Someone had tweeted talking about corners, and they were mentioning about corners being able to tackle, and DP was like, they're going to have to start tackling because teams are starting to run bubble screens, and you're going to have to be a willing tackler. I don't need you to go up there. You don't have to necessarily make every tackle, but I don't want you doing what's your boy from Georgia last year? What's his name? Forgot his name already.
Ringo.
Ringo. Yeah, they got drafted in the 6th round.
I think it was the 4th?
Fourth?
I think it was 4th.
My bad. My bad.
Said the 6th.
That's right, buddy. My bad, man. But you have to be, and I always say this, I prefer my corner to be aggressive, come downhill, willing to lay pads, throw your body in there. But the number one thing is willing. I need you to be willing to get in there and at least redirect, make somebody think something. You can't just not be out there. And I think that Chestnut has that in spades. He's going to be going to, well, actually, I'm not sure the exact scheme that they run over there. It's just kind of changed in the past couple of years with the coaching staff changes. But he's a guy who can click and close, quick twitch athlete. So I'm interested to see how he's going to turn out with LSU over there. But it'd be interesting to see what's going on with him. And then you have the linebacker Spates as well. I forgot his first name. Omar. There we go. Omar Spates, linebacker. And I know we want to talk about the other linebacker, Perkins, but he ain't draft eligible. So we gotta leave that right there.
We gotta wait.
Yeah, unfortunately.
We gotta wait. There are a couple. There are a handful of some super true sophomores, and I'm sure they'll be.
That team is young, man. Them two tackles. Them two tackles for them.
LSU's going to be good, bro.
Yeah,
they're going to be good.
Yep.
LSU's going to be good this season. There's no question about it. They were young, like I said. They had those growing pains, and they weathered the storm. You know what I'm saying? They grew up. They were forced to grow up. They had some disappointments, some tough losses. They also had some big wins along the way. You know, beating Alabama. You know what I'm saying? Like they were. Yeah. It was a good season for a young team, and then of course they're coming back with the top offensive weapons back in tow, as far as I'm concerned. So I think they're going to have a good season. Again, you know, Brian Kelly might not be the guy to get them over the hump, but I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be really good. Listen, man, D-Kid, I don't blame you, bro. Hate is a strong word, but it might be appropriate.
So let me defend Kelly a little bit, and I'm not a fan of Kelly, so let me just put that out there for my disclosure. But let me say this. Because he came from Cincinnati, where the talent, you know, there's a ceiling to the talent there because of the conference you're playing in and the school you are. Don't not quite have the pedigree, and then you go to Notre Dame, you got the pedigree, but you got to have that grade point average. You got to have those test scores. You know what I'm saying? So there's a ceiling there. LSU doesn't necessarily have. There's no ceiling. You're in the SEC, so you have that. So the talent may pushed past his ignorance, if you will. Okay, so he may you know that may just you know it may happen for him because of the talent. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens. You know, defend him a little bit, see what happens.
I think winning goes a long way to help with dealing with personalities.
I'd agree.
Right,
and NIL will help too.
Absolutely. The money, the dollars will talk. The dollars will talk, man. You're absolutely right. I mean, I think that's a great point. You know, I think what's important in terms of Brian Kelly, regardless of how you feel about it, because again, I don't blame anybody for intensely disliking Brian Kelly, right?
Right.
You know, I think we all enjoy Coach O. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
There was a ceiling with O, though. There was a ceiling with O.
But Brian Kelly has won everywhere he's been. Yeah. He's won. He may not have won the big one, but he's been a consistent winner wherever he's been. And at the end of the day, that's what those board of trustees, those athletic directors, that's what they care about. If you can avoid the big scandal and win, then you're going to be given opportunities, which he's done. And I can't take that away from him. As much as I'm not a fan of him either, his antics, how he carries on, how he carries himself, you can't take that away from him. So he is the captain of the ship for now at LSU.
And the other thing too is you don't necessarily have to win a national championship, but you got to beat your rival.
Yeah, big time.
You know what I'm saying that's the thing that'll get you fired. Get you fired. Listen, probably more than anything else, to be honest with you, outside of a scandal.
That Alabama win in year one, that's that cachet right there. That's cachet.
Yep.
Right. So certainly, you're absolutely right about that. Before we move on to Iowa, two things. First, want to do some housekeeping. We are partnered with Underdog Fantasy, so guys, we're getting closer. We're getting closer to the NFL season. It's coming. Best ball drafts are in full swing. Obviously, Underdog, supports other sports as well. So get active. All right. Leverage our promo link in the description. Promo code CPGM to 2 times your deposit up to $100. All right. Again, promo code CPGM.
4 letters.
And link in description. Take advantage of that. Take advantage of that. All right. Make as many profiles as you want. Go crazy, but use that promo code. Feel me? Take advantage. All right, Drew. We've talked about it a little bit in our pre-production meeting, and I want to unveil it tonight. In no Headley here, so we can be a little different. You know what I mean? We don't have as much analysis to get to because typically it's all 3 of us giving analysis. This time around, it's only the 2 of us. So a couple other things that we wanted to float out there. Obviously, Drew came up a little bit short in terms of naming the 7 first-round selections from LSU since 2020.
Terrible.
You got 3 of the 7.
Terrible.
All right, you got we got to be better. We got to be better.
Terrible, bro. Memory ain't good, bro.
No. But that's why we're doing these exercises, and hopefully the folks at home are enjoying it as well, and flexing those muscles, those memory muscles as well. You have a preliminary top 10 prospects for 2024. All right. A lot of this is based off what you saw during your evaluations of the 2023 class, but also, including our summer scouting. So I want to unveil that here, Drew, and I'm going to let you speak to each of these prospects here briefly. All right. Some of them we've already covered throughout our summer scouting on the second half draft shows. Some we may not have touched on just yet, but definitely want to give you an opportunity to substantiate why they're in your top 10. All right.
Because they better, bro. Because they better.
The floor is yours, Drew.
JC Latham, offensive tackle from Alabama. I like him a lot. I was kind of debating whether I wanted him to be tackle 2 or tackle 3. You'll find out if he's tackle 2 or tackle 3, but I do like JC Latham a lot. I like his size. I like his feet. I like his hands. I think he gets to his spot. He's got some technique things he's got to work on, but he's not far off, man, from being top tackle. I think we know who the top tackle is. I guess we'll wait till we get there, but go ahead, man. All right, Kool-Aid McKinstry, man. We got 2 Alabamas back to back. This is cornerback 1 right now. I've watched probably maybe 6 or 7 corners. So give me some grace. Give me some grace. Kool-Aid McKinstry, he's extremely physical. He's got some quick twitch ability. He's a guy who's outstanding in terms of running plays down horizontal or running receivers down horizontally and closing in on space, making a play on the football. I want to see him be a little bit more productive and be a little bit more technically sound down the field. But I like McKinstry. He's my kind of corner, man. And plus his name is Kool-Aid. You can't be sorry and be named Kool-Aid, bro. It's not
the points for the name alone on that.
Period, bro.
Absolutely.
Emeka Egbuka. I'm butchering this man's name. Let me grab his notes real quick. I just want to run through it because I know, this is probably where Juice would have neighbors. But I like his stop and start ability, man. Plays predominantly, obviously, in the slot. He's a 6'1", 205. He climbs and erases space quickly. He makes himself a small target for defenders to get their hands on, or after he makes the catch to get their hands on, before and after the catch, I should say. And one thing, he's coming from from wide receiver U, as far as I'm concerned, when you talk about Brian Hartline over there. And, you know, obviously we know who the top receiver is in Marvin Harrison, but I mean, they just keep producing them, man. And so I got to give him the head nod. You know, maybe Neighbors can eclipse him at some point. We'll see how that goes. But for right now, Emeka has it for wide receiver 2. Drake May. I know Juice and Headley was hating on Drake May. I love the size. I love his playmaking ability. I love his arm. I think he's more
hate or facts. Hate or facts.
Wait, what you say? What? Hate or facts?
Hate or facts?
Oh, hate or facts? It's hate and facts. How about that?
Okay.
Hate
all right.
and facts.
I give you that. I give it to you.
Hate or facts. This is a guy who, you know, a lot of people are saying that, you know, well, the first comp I heard was Josh Allen, but now I think it's starting to clear up and it's starting to become he's more like Justin Herbert. So if you think that's what you're getting, which I understand the comp and I'm not going to hate on it. I think he's closer to Herbert than he is to Josh Allen for sure. I think the sky's the limit for him. You know, he's got some things he does have to clean up, and he's going to have a shot here. And I think UNC actually has a shot to win the ACC. So we'll see what happens. But that offensive line has got to get cleaned up so this man can actually show out and show off and show out, man.
No debate there, D-Kid. I fully expect him to be the second player off the board.
You talking about Drake May?
Yeah.
He'd have to fall off a cliff or get injured or something.
And I probably didn't give him enough grace for that offensive line play, but the point that I want to drive home is that he's comfortably behind Caleb Williams. I don't think it's close.
Yeah,
not at this juncture.
I would agree with that. I'm not going to argue with that. And they had a lot of drops too. Them boys was terrible out there, bro, with them drops. But all right, with Joel, we talked about earlier. I like his feet. Love his hands. Yeah, we can move on. Yeah,
I just need the mean streak.
Yeah,
that's what I'm looking for,
15,
man.
Bro. I need you to.
Yeah, I need you to play to that 6'8", 315. Yeah. I need you to play to it. Yeah,
because that kind of stuff goes a long way. Because defensive line, like, yo, this man I can't, like, it's third quarter. I got to deal with this guy again. You know, he's going a little too much after the play. Like, those things wear on guys, getting people's heads and stuff, man. So, yeah, man, come on, let me see it. Jared Verse. This is Headley's guy. FSU. This is State right here. I think he is the number 1 edge in the country right now. We can debate it. Love the burst, love his hands, love his tenacity. He's coming from a smaller school. Well, the previous year, coming from a smaller school, and he stepped his game up, man. He's proven that he belongs. And I'm expecting a lot of production from him this year, coming off the edge for FSU. Thought he was going to come out this past year, but I think he made the right decision. Maybe he'll be an edge rusher run this year coming out. So we'll see what happens. Brock Bowers, I mean, do I need to say anything? He's tight end 1, bro. Like, yeah, he's the guy for Georgia. He is
the guy.
He's a dude, as they say in the draft community. He's a dude, man. Beast. Caleb Williams, quarterback 1, obviously for me. I've seen tweets where they're saying he may be the closest. Let me not say that. I don't want to misquote the tweet. What I will say is I love his playmaking ability outside the pocket. I like his ability that he keeps his eyes down the field. There is no quit in his game. That could be a double-edged sword. He does. I don't believe he's the turnover machine that Patrick Mahomes was when he was in college. I don't think he has as many turnover-worthy plays as Patrick Mahomes, and to me they're very similar in that manner in terms of being able to turn nothing into something.
Yes, I would agree with you. I agree in that assessment. And we actually have a video that's born out of one of our second half draft show live streams, you know, really talking about where those similarities begin and end. And I think you nailed it there.
So I seen DK say I have number 1. And the reason I do not have Caleb Williams number 1 is because the age of Fashanu and how good he is at the age that he's at. Technically sound, has very few flaws. He is nasty, athletic, good hands, nice feet. I mean, he's outstanding. I mean, these top 3 players, excuse me, these top 4 players, I want to say are almost flawless. But I would say if I out of the top 4, I would say Caleb Williams probably has the most flaws out of these top 4 players. And number 1, I mean, you already knew what it was, bro. This man's a beast, bro. He's got the pedigree. Marvin Harrison. He's Marvin Harrison. He's Marvin
There he
Harrison Jr.
is at the top.
Yeah,
There he is,
at the
right
top.
there at the top.
At the top. This was easy for me. I thought about it for about a half a second, and I was like, "Nah, I'm gonna put this man at the top." He has the speed. He has the release package. He has the size. He's got the route running ability. He can block. He can block you out into the rafters, as Juice would say. He's the total package from the receiver position, man. There's nothing. I don't think there's anything he can't do at the receiver position, man. He's able to contort his body as big as he is. He's able to contort his body along the sideline, adjust, make catches, strong hands. I mean, I don't know what else to say, man. Marvin Harrison Jr. he's probably the best prospect. It's between him and Olu, to me, the best prospects in this draft. As of right now, obviously, someone could rise up, but
no, it's hard to argue with that. I'm sure there will be some people that do.
Some contrarians,
i.e., D-Kit believes Caleb Williams is the top prospect, and I'm sure he's going to be the top prospect on quite a few NFL teams' boards as well. But as it stands right now, he's the 3rd ranked prospect in the class, according to Drew. This is Drew's preliminary top 10 prospects in the 2024 draft.
Easy,
you're getting booed. And booed out here.
I think too, when you think about the quarterback position, I could see why Caleb Williams would be number 1 because it's the nature of the position, the importance of the position. That makes sense. Of course. Yeah. You know what I mean? But
that's why he's going to go first overall.
Right. That is why.
That doesn't necessarily mean he's the best player, although he could be the best player.
He could be.
He might very well be the best player in the class.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into our last team of the evening. We have the Iowa Hawkeyes, and Drew, I got to say, it's painful watching the Hawkeyes offense.
Bro, oh my gosh,
it can be very, very difficult watching Iowa's offense. You know what I'm saying? And this is coming from a purist, right? Yeah. An I formation, 2 backs, under center. Back to the defense, hard play action fake type of guy, but it really was painful to watch at times. That's why I want to start on the defensive side of the ball.
Say hot route.
Audible out here, man. We audibling. So let's talk about the quarter.
All right, so Cooper DeJean. Is that how you say it? DeJean?
It's DeJean. They pronounce it DeJean.
DeJean. All right. Cooper DeJean, 6'1", 209, Iowa cornerback. A lot of the tape that I watched, he played a lot of off coverage. I think that's where he's at home. It was almost
a ton of off coverage.
It was almost like he was playing safety at times in certain formations and things. Yeah, I think he looks very comfortable doing that in terms of being able to see what's happening in front of him, being able to click and close. I don't necessarily think
that click and close is nice.
It's nice. And he's 6'1", 209. I thought he might be 6'3" out there. He looked kind of big to me. I love his ability to come downhill, make plays on the football. He attacks the football. He's got 5 interceptions, and he's got 3 touchdowns off those 5 interceptions with 8 pass deflections. So he has some playmaking ability. And it wouldn't surprise me if teams see him as a safety, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I tend to agree with you there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just because of how he was deployed, but he has the body for man-to-man.
He does.
Bump and run. He has the body for it.
The body's got the size. Yep. Yeah, because he can turn and run, man. He's smooth at that as well. So it'll be interesting to see. And I wonder if, because I didn't look at it enough to determine if that's just the scheme. I would imagine that is the scheme. But when you had, was it Riley Cooper on the other side? He played a lot closer. Riley Moss, excuse me.
Riley Moss.
Played a lot closer to the receiver on the other side. And I'm assuming that was the scheme, or maybe they were just like, hey, just wherever you guys want to be in terms of your depth, you can play that. But I think it may have had something to do with the scheme. So Riley Moss is not there this year, so I wonder if maybe that'll flip, or what does that look like for him. But I want to see him a little bit more in man coverage, just to see what it looks like for him. But I have a feeling we're not going to get that, man. It's going to be zone and zone heavy off coverage. So
yeah, a ton of 7 to 10 yards off, cover 3, quarters coverage, eyes on the quarterback, and to your point, he does well. And I don't want to give the impression that it doesn't require skill to play zone coverage because, first of all, zone becomes man oftentimes, right? At a certain point, zone becomes man, but you have to have a certain level of trust. You have to understand, in an area that is kind of a lost art in zone coverage is rerouting receivers. You know what I mean?
Making them
go
free
to help as opposed to just letting them run free. And again, trusting in terms of where you're supposed to be as it relates to where the linebackers are in terms of their depth, in terms of where the safeties are. And I thought there were a couple of instances or a handful of instances where, he had an opportunity kind of in a one-on-one type of situation and he didn't make the play. But he was rarely tested, right? A lot of times quarterbacks, they ultimately tested Riley Moss, who was actually a Senior Bowl, participant, a good corner in his own right, draft pick. They tend to go after Riley Moss compared to Cooper DeJean. So I think he certainly has the skills. As you mentioned, that click and close is absolutely terrific coming out of that zone. That's what you want to see. You want to see a guy get out of his back pedal and then drive on the receiver, the ball, whatever the case may be. He certainly possesses that. I think in terms of change of direction, so it's one thing to go from your back pedal to running, on a 9 route. It's another to click and then close, right? Be in your back pedal, then realize that I need to drive on the football. When it's going east and west, left to right, is where he's not as smooth. And that's where man-to-man coverage comes into play. So I agree with you. I'd like to see a little bit more man coverage this year. When they were in red zone defense is when you started to see them play man. That's when he would get up on the line of scrimmage and try to mirror and match. And he's not great at that. I didn't see a lot of it, but in what I saw, that's not necessarily where he's most comfortable. He is much more comfortable looking in, staring in at the quarterback, and then making the plays, playing his zone, whether, again, it be, a deep third or quarters coverage. So certainly a skilled player. I think he's willing to come up and tackle. He spends a little too much time on blocks for my taste, but he's willing to come up and run support, set an edge. I tend to agree with you. D-Kid's mentioned it right now. Moss is getting reps at safety at Denver. I think there's a chance. That Cooper DeJean, he ends up at safety as well, with the ability to line up on the boundary as a corner, right? To face a tight end, right? To face your tertiary or your fourth receiver. I think he certainly has that ability. This year will determine whether or not he can be a true corner. Facing the one of the top 2 receivers on the opposition. We'll get a sense of that. But as of right now, I kind of like the idea of him being a versatile piece at the next level, having some limitations in man coverage. All right. Let's transition to the offensive line here. All right.
Yeah, we got
who you got?
I got Connor Kobe, number 77, the offensive tackle. I think he's the right tackle for Iowa. He's super aggressive. I think he moves really well, whether you're talking about screens, whether you're talking about getting outside the pocket. They did a lot of moving the pocket, getting to the second, third level in terms of on runs or on runs. Listen, and maybe it was the game.
Did you read this comment?
He might have said
it's not the same thing. It is not the same thing, D-Kid. Not at all.
That didn't even cross my mind, bro. What? Nah, not at all. That's funny, though. That's funny, bro.
Because D-Kid's like, not that you're wrong.
Yo.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you don't see. Is he? Let me not do it. See, we going down the wrong road. Let me. I was thinking about it in the car when I was driving.
Hey, D-Kid, there's levels to this, man.
Yo,
there's levels to this.
Listen. Well, let me. No, I'm gonna leave it. Let me stop. Okay.
You sure?
Yeah. I'm
all right. Connor Colby.
Okay. Listen. It may have been the game I watched. Maybe I got to watch more of his games. I think he played better in the Michigan game, but in that Illinois game, listen, I don't know if I put here in my notes. I said, I wonder if the man got grease on his hands or if he got Teddy two small hands, bro, because he can't stay.
Hey man, watch your mouth, man.
I put that in there just for you, bro.
That's 2 gloves, man.
2 gloves. I don't know if I don't know because he couldn't stay engaged. He couldn't stay on a block. I mean, it was crazy. He'd be on a block for like a half a second, and then slide right off of the offensive lineman. Like, he wouldn't extend his arms. He's doing shoulders and forearms. Like, do you not have hands? Did someone chop them off? Like, use them, extend them, use them, get your punch out. Like, just if I'm an offensive lineman coach, like, this is teach tape on how not to play the position. Like, he would get in position, be in perfect position, and don't throw the punch. Let the defensive lineman get all up in his chest, and then it was crazy, man. I was just like, this is crazy. I'm gonna watch. He might be the guy I watch more tape on than any other offensive lineman, because I got to make sure I'm seeing what I'm seeing, because you can't continue to put that guy out there. And then you talk about the offensive self and how putrid it was. This was a part of that. This was part of the problem. Like, guys beating on the inside, on the outside. It was just, oh my God. But when he used his hands, when the hands, got 2 times bigger and they didn't have grease on them, he was able to latch on and be able to move guys around. The Michigan game, like I said, was a little bit better, but holy crap, the Illinois game was terrible. Oh,
the balance issue is a pet peeve of Headley's in particular.
Yeah, it is.
Hate to see offensive linemen just on the ground, snap after snap after snap after snap.
That's how you get hurt, bro.
Yeah, man. You gotta have, in terms of your upper body and your lower body, need to work in concert. You can't be leaning too far over your toes. You're gonna tip over. These are big men. These are huge men. You understand what I'm saying? Like, everything has to be aligned. Everything has to be aligned. And as you mentioned, there is no blocking with your shoulder. That's what we did, in the Sandlot. You gotta use your hands. You gotta hold on to something, right? You want to keep it within the frame so you don't get a penalty, but you need to hold on to something. Yeah, sure. All right. Who else you got from Iowa?
I got Eric Allen, I don't know why I want to say Allen. Eric All, tight end who's transferring from Michigan, going over.
He was an excellent cornerback.
He was an excellent cornerback.
I think that's why I keep. He wasn't no Aeneas Williams though.
Come on, bro.
I'm just saying. I mean, those are the guys around the same time. Bobby Taylor's out there and stuff.
Right.
I mean, we go to 90s, man. We could do some things.
That's
all right. My 90s encyclopedia mind for football,
endless, bro.
Far and exceeds anything after that.
So let me ask you. Let me hit you with a trivia then, bro. What school is Aeneas from?
It's one of two.
Okay.
It's either Grambling or Southern.
Oh, so it's HBCU.
He went to an HBCU.
All right, man. Let me. We're gonna stop the show. You got the record signed.
Oh man, is it Grambling? I'm gonna go with Grambling. It's probably Southern. It's probably Southern. Check it.
I'm checking it right
now.
No,
don't play with me though. Don't play with me though, man.
College.
See, the kid said it. It's Southern. It was one of the two.
Okay,
it was one of the two. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
It was one of the two. I narrowed it down, but I got it wrong. I'll take my L.
What would you have gone with though? Who would you go? You would have gone with Grambling?
I went with Grambling. Okay. It was one. I knew it was one of the two.
Yeah. Eric All, tight end, 6'5", 255, transferring from Michigan over to Iowa. He played last year. I think he had 3 catches for like 40 something yards. I think he only played in 3 or 4 games. He got injured. I'm still not sure what the injury was. He essentially walked away from football. I don't know if it was necessarily from the injury. From some of the reports I read, it was. Some of the reports I read, it wasn't. Just maybe wasn't into football at the point. Sometimes you just hit that point. He's like, I'm done with this. And watching him, I think he's a big clunky dude. I think that he allowed. You want to talk about players getting players drafted? I think he allowed Shoemaker to get drafted because I think Eric All has some talent. I think he has excellent hands, strong hands. I think he has a nice catch radius that you want from the position. I think he finds holes in the zones. I think he's a smart route runner. He reminds me a little bit of a receiver in terms of running routes. I didn't really see him blocking out there at Michigan. I think he was more of a, get out there and catch the football. I think he's outstanding in terms of his ability to do the delay thing for tight ends. That's not a, it can be a scheme thing. Yeah, it can be a scheme thing. Yeah, the blue route. Yeah, the blue route. That was crazy, bro. Yeah. Go run the blue route. If y'all know, that's Madden. But I think he has there's a skill to it. I think he has that skill when it comes to that. I think he's going to inject some offense, some flash, some dash into this Iowa offense. And I think he's transferring with McNamara.
Cade McNamara.
Yeah, and that's the one who was throwing the ball to him in 2021, where he put up some numbers in 2021. So I guess that's his guy. Boys Traveler. We'll see what it looks like. Maybe them boys got
that's
some
Drew's guy.
Sounds
like it's Drew's guy.
No, I'm just giving him props, man. I'm just trying to give him some love. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they didn't have competent quarterback play though.
No,
kid. Yeah, as Laporte is going to be a good one. He's going to be a good one. You know what I mean? But they didn't have competent quarterback play. So
nobody wants to.
I expect Iowa's offense to be better this year.
No, they should be. There's no
got to be better. It's really not a. It's a really low bar.
Yep.
It's a very low bar.
I think the most they scored last year was either 31 or 27, and it was it was a bad football team they were playing. Sure. All the other ones are really clear. 6-9, 9-3, 10-17. Like, bruh.
Kirk Ferentz. That's some Kirk Ferentz for you right there,
bro.
I'm telling you,
terrible.
Hey man. If they average 20 to 24 points, man,
they're gonna win a lot of games, bro.
They're gonna win a lot of games
because that defense is always on point, man.
They're always a well-coached team.
Yeah.
Always well-coached on defense.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's gonna do it for this show. As a matter, I actually want to give D Kid a minute. Let me give D Kid a minute. D Kid, what's the next 3 teams you want to see out of us, man? Next 3 teams, and we'll work on some of the prospects for those teams. So let us know down in the comments. Anybody else currently watching, if you want to weigh in terms of the next 3 teams we cover, please do so by getting in the comments right now. Right now. Do it right now.
Right now.
All right. And then after that, click on the link in the description for Underdog Fantasy. Use the promo code. We already did Michigan and USC, my guy. What's up? Where you been?
He went on that stream, man.
Where you been, D-Kid?
You got to go back to the stream. Yeah, we did those 2. I think we did them at the same. Was it the same? Same time, Michigan?
No. We did.
No.
It was Michigan. I want to say it was Michigan, Ohio State, and Washington. I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. You want to go back to those?
Nah.
We could definitely get Maryland worked in there. Any others?
Do Maryland
before we sign off. But yeah, as I was saying, Underdog Fantasy, link in the description, promo code CPGM.
It's only 3 letters, man. CPGM. USF, UCF, and we did Miami.
Ooh, yeah, we did Miami.
UCF, maybe USF. I don't know if they got anybody that's
I mean, I know that's our Bulls, but yeah, we'll take a peek at UCF. Yes, we can work in Tennessee. Let's work in Tennessee. We'll talk Joe Milton for sure. All right. So tentatively, we have Maryland, UCF, and Tennessee. All right. Can't promise you UCF. Depends on what it's looking like in terms of process. We need to just take a look. All right. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in and contributing to what our next show is going to be about. Again, this is the second half draft show brought to you by Couch Potato General Manager every Friday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to like, comment. And for those of you who are just kind of, you know what I'm saying? Just snooping around. You know what I mean? Go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. All right.
They call that
man.
They call that ninja watching, man. You just kind of in the shadows.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's what they call it, bro. Ninja watching.
People lurking out here, man.
Yeah,
lurking.
Man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Let's get it. Let's get it, man. We got
the word.
We got some things in the work. So we're on our way. You know what I mean? Need more like you, D Kid. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.